regards to, just some random stuff I've been hearing going on with, I guess you could say, Derek James camp. They seem to be possibly some issues going on with Errol Spence and Jermell Charlo, stemming from just problems from the past leading up to the fight with Terrence Crawford, post Terrence Crawford fight, and then Jermell, all access with the Canelo fight, where he kind of took a jab at Errol Spence, where basically he was saying, don't show the footage of me like you did Errol Spence. But you just been hearing that it's a lot of chaos going on in that camp. You've been hearing everything from that either Spence is going to leave Derek James or Jermell is going to leave Derek James. I mean, one way or another, it's their decision. So, nothing's official yet, but you just been hearing these type of things that's been going on. And you kind of wonder if Errol Spence and Jermell are as close as they pretend to be. Jermell is coming off a terrible performance versus Canelo Alvarez, which many people up to believe that he possibly did the deep sea dive, or he was scared, or he just came there for a check, or a mixture of everything. Now, the pay-per-view numbers, they're saying that it did anywhere between 600 to 700,000, which I don't believe it did that much. I don't even think it did remotely close to 600,000 pay-per-views. I know that they have to try to build Canelo as this guy that's like the face of boxing. I mean, he's not my face of boxing. I mean, if you a Canelo supporter, you think he the face of boxing by your standards, then that's fine, but not by my standards. The best fighter on the planet, his name is Terrence Crawford. Now, Terrence Crawford, I'm going to talk about him where he seemed to be in a bit of a dilemma, not to his own fault, but based off what Jermell did versus Canelo. Look, here's the thing. If Jermell had went out on his shield and just remotely put up an effort, I think he wouldn't be getting the criticism that he was getting. But a lot of people felt like he stole money and that, he just didn't try. Because there were some moments where he landed some good shots off of Canelo. And the thing is, like a lot of people, brought up on other channels, they see Jermell talking all this high-powered big boy stuff, and all of a sudden he's timid, he's respectful, he's humbled towards Canelo, and people like, hey man, you need to show the same energy that you show towards everybody else. All of a sudden you want to be respectful to Canelo. Then, not to mention, the actual fight itself wasn't really a whole bunch of people there. Oh, and by the way, on the side note, tickets are available for Devin Haney versus Regis Prograis, which is going to take place December the 9th, San Francisco, California, at the Chase Center. So, go online, search for your local ticket broker, whoever you're going to buy tickets through. The ticket prices are reasonable, very reasonable. So, at the end of the day, if you happen to be in the Bay Area on the weekend of December the 9th, come through, watch this fight. So once again, there's my promo. But nevertheless, just getting back to Jermell. Jermell, he really hurt his stock by his performance. At the end of the day, even though in a losing effort to Triple G, Kell Brook at least was able to make the Spence fight sellable to a certain degree, even though Spence shouldn't have fought nobody coming off a loss. But doesn't matter whether it was at another weight class or not, but at least, Kell Brook, even in a losing effort versus Triple G, at least he tried. And it was actually his corner who stopped the fight, because he actually was getting off on Triple G. He was actually landing some nice shots. But once again, it was a fight that came out of nowhere, and people was wondering, well, why did they even make this fight? So at least going into the Spence fight, it was still sellable because, you know, that's when Spence was building his extreme fandom. You know, after seeing him, you know, basically draw 6 million viewers post-Olympics. So, you know, his fan base started to build up. So, you know, that's when the Spence fanfare was starting to, you know, get enhanced, build up. So, you know. But at least Kell Brook tried. I mean, he tried. And he was landing some nice shots off of Triple G. And he kind of touched Triple G up a little bit. But his corner felt like he was taking a little too much punishment. They didn't want him to have any permanent damage, so they basically, you know, stopped the fight. But Charlo, he didn't even put himself in a position to where he was in any kind of danger. A lot of people called him a track star and all this kind of stuff. You know, he was slipping and blocking a lot of Canelo's punches to where Canelo couldn't really hit him flush. He did land that shot on top of the head, and it caused Charlo to take a temporary knee, but he wasn't even really hurt. And if you look at Charlo after the fight, he didn't even look like he had been in a fight. But if you look at Charlo's value, when he comes back, he's going to have to take, and this is just real talk, you know, I don't know what the sanctioning body is going to do, but they need to really allow this dude. I mean, it's not like they don't give people extensions anyway. You know, these sanctioning bodies, they'll say, you got to do this by a certain amount of time, and then they'll turn around and give you an extension. I think Charlo needs to try to get back in the ring as soon as possible and just take a tune-up fight, or maybe even two, and then try to see could he get in the ring versus somebody like Terrence Crawford. Because right now, Terrence Crawford Charlo fight isn't sellable because his reputation is taking a big hit based off his performance. Everybody is weighing in on him, and then to a certain degree, Canelo is being criticized, and he should rightfully so be criticized. Now, I know Teddy Atlas ripped into him, you know, about that fight, because I think Teddy Atlas is on the same wave as me. Listen, I think Canelo is a good fighter, but you do have to tell the truth about Canelo. Once again, nobody asked for this fight. Nobody wanted to see this fight. Nobody was clamoring for a Canelo-Jermell Charlo fight. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. Now, I know the PBC will do whatever Canelo wants of them to, you know, appease him, because basically the PBC is on Canelo's time. I can tell you right now, Al Heyman ain't calling the shots with Canelo. It's the other way around, and that's how it should be with these fighters, and particularly the brothers, where they got Al Heyman talking them out of $1 million fights, because he wants to continue to line them up with people within the PBC stable. And I just think this has grown tired, and a lot of people that are real boxing pundits, real fans of boxing, just want to see the best fights made. I'm not worried about you PBC nut huggers or Al Heyman apologists. I stand on what I say about Al Heyman. My criticism of Al Heyman is fair and it's legit. And you can say that don't criticize the black man stuff, because like I said, the black man don't do right by a lot of his black fighters that's within his stable. And I'm gonna continue to say that. If you feel like I'm criticizing Al Heyman because he's a black man, then maybe my channel not for you. Maybe you need to go somewhere else. And that's just factual. You can go somewhere else. I'm not making you stay here. You can go. But I've really been hearing that there is a lot of issues going on within that camp with Derrick James, the people that's within the Derrick James camp. If Derrick James has too much on his plate, like I said before, if he couldn't properly prepare Steve Fulton, if he couldn't properly prepare Frank Martin for Shakur Stevenson, well, he should have let Frank Martin train with somebody else, because at the end of the day, all Frank Martin did is really embarrass himself. And then when he did that interview, when he was sitting up there saying that he wanted a little extra money to get in the ring when he was offered $1 million, and you still priced yourself. Like I said, nobody can defend that. But at the end of the day, it was about these dummies using that as a way to somehow, some way attack Shakur Stevenson. Because like I said before, a lot of these dudes are not really journalists, and they not really boxing channels. They're an access channel. If you have access to a certain fighter, then you just at all costs, you just gonna support that fighter and nobody else. See, I'm not just for that. I am really a sports channel. I really support boxing. I'll have anybody on my outlet. It doesn't matter whether they were Golden Boy, Matchroom, PBC, Top Rank, whoever. This is a sports channel. And yeah, I do have personal relationships with people's fathers, some of the fighters and all that kind of stuff, but that's not going to deter me from being objective and being fair. And a lot of these dudes that, well, because they cool with one person, they feel like they have to tear down somebody else to build up that other fighter. They need to look at themselves. But these are the same people that claim to be pro-black, but then they'll sit up there constantly put down a black fighter. At the end of the day, I'm just as critical at Canelo for basically signing up for this fight too, because Canelo deserves to get just as much blame for signing up for a BS fight like this. If Floyd Mayweather had brought up somebody from 2 weight classes to fight him, he would be getting ripped to shreds. You would have all these so-called boxing pundits saying Floyd is a coward and all this kind of stuff, and that was weak of him, and how could he bring up somebody from 2 weight classes for a fight when he could have? Because people love to matchmake for something fight for, but then they don't want to matchmake for Canelo Alvarez, or they just want to strictly put this on. Because I'm not strictly putting this just on Jermell Charlo, because Canelo, like I said before, nobody asked for this fight, and it didn't make sense for Canelo to take this fight. You've been campaigning at 162 weight classes to fight you. It doesn't matter whether you was going to fight the brother and bring him up, because at the end of the day, you still was bringing the brother up to 168. Where you could have easily fought somebody at 168. You could have did a rematch with Caleb Plant. You could have did David Morrell Jr. You could have did David Benavidez, but you had your eyes set on the Charlos because you felt that you could beat both of them. You could have set up a fight with Demetrius Andrade, a dude that you basically been ducking for years. And it doesn't matter whether Canelo goes on and beats Demetrius Andrade. If they do happen to fight, he's been clearly ducking the dude. He's clearly been ducking him and avoiding him. He kicked the man out of his post-fight press conference, said he was a horrible fighter. He said he just wanted a payday, and he said that he's not fighting him. He told Demetrius Andrade, he said, I'm not ever going to fight you. So like I said before, while you guys want to put all the blame on Jermell Charlo, Canelo deserves to get just as much of the blame. Like I said before, I'm not worried about Canelo stands getting mad at me and all this kind of stuff, because I'm going to continue to say what needs to be said. That's just what I do. I'm not here to make friends. And I'm not here to cater to a certain group of people. Oh, if I just put this all on Jermell, then I could get a lot of supporters from the Canelo fans, primarily the Mexican boxing fans. Well, if that's why you want to, subscribe to my channel and watch my channel, because I'm not putting any blame on Canelo, Dan, you on the wrong channel, because I am putting blame on Canelo. There's enough blame to go around with everybody, up to Al Heyman, who made this fight, Canelo, who signed on for this fight, and Jermell. Because Canelo needs to explain to everybody, why did he take this fight? And see, that's the thing, nobody won't ask Canelo in these press conferences. Like, Canelo, why did you take this fight in the first place, man? Why? Why did you take this fight, man? So trust me, it's enough blame to go around, because at the end of the day, what transpired on Saturday was a flat out robbery. Canelo robbed the fans, Al Heyman robbed the fans, and Jermell Charlo robbed the fans of their hard-earned money. And then you got some people praising Canelo for this fight. Oh, Canelo is back. So it took Canelo fighting the dude that was 2 weight classes down versus fighting John Ryder, who he can stop. And then he couldn't even stop Jermell Charlo. Now, for people that's going to say, well, Jermell was running and all this kind of stuff, but what about the punches that he landed? Each punch you land is supposed to get you closer to being able to stop a dude. So obviously Canelo's power ain't what they make it out to be. He landed body shots. He landed a couple of, he didn't really get Mel Charlo to feel the brunt of his punches, but he landed enough punches to where he was in a position to stop him. He just couldn't stop him. So you're going to sit up there and say, well, the reason why he didn't stop Jermell is because Jermell was running. Okay, so what about John Ryder? Why couldn't he stop him? And like I said, they had a ring the size of basically a porta potty. Okay, why couldn't he stop Triple G? Why couldn't he stop Bibble? So how do you explain that? Yeah. There you have it. Don't try me. I know what I'm talking about. And it's just a shame, getting back to Jermell, just like how unlikable he is. If he wanted anybody to further not like him as a person and a fighter, it was this past fight. It was this past Saturday. And that's why Terrence Crawford said, man, dude is no longer on my hit list. He just went in there and he just laid down. Said he can't, and I mean, a lot of these boxing outlets are ripping him to shreds. And he should be ripped to shreds. But I am hearing there's issues going on with him and Errol Spence. Now, for people that are wondering why Errol Spence didn't come to the fight, well, Errol Spence didn't come to the fight for a couple of reasons. One, he wasn't ready to face the media. He wasn't ready to face the media because, at the end of the day, we all know what happened with Errol Spence the last time we saw him. Okay? He took a vicious beatdown via Terrence Crawford. And more than likely, the rematch will be the same. And then you hearing now, based off the fact that Jermell, after taking, after this, basically going in there and participating in a sparring session with Canelo, now he's interested in a Terrence Crawford fight. So now that he's saying that he's interested, Errol Spence is looking like, what? And then basically he said that I'll fight Terrence Crawford after the Errol Spence fight, in which he hinted, which a lot of people caught and some people didn't catch, that he basically believes that Errol Spence is going to lose to Terrence Crawford again. He's going to lose to him again. See, I catch stuff like that. He basically saying, well, I'll fight him after he fights Errol Spence. So he pretty much said that he believes Terrence Crawford is going to win the rematch. So if you Errol Spence, he said like, damn, you going to fight him after After me, so you basically saying I'm gonna lose again? Now, what could happen to me? Why don't Errol Spence fight Jamel himself? Sure, they got the same trainer, but it's not like they can't go get different trainers. Anything can happen. Now, keep in mind, Daniel Jacobs fought Derevyanchenko, and him and Derevyanchenko had the same trainer. So for people to say, oh, that fight can't happen because they have the same trainer, that's BS. All Errol Spence or Jermell Charlo got to do is hire a different trainer. And from what I heard, they both may be on the verge of hiring a different trainer. So for people to say that that can't happen, stop it. Anything can happen if it's the right amount of zeros attached to it. But I do think it's a little bit of an issue, or should I say it's a big issue with those two going on. I know people been trying to keep it out the public, but I think it's out there, and I think a lot of people know. I think a lot of people know it. I think a lot of people know it, and I think a lot of people see it now. And I kind of been hinting at for a while now. A lot of times when people act like they buddy, a lot of times they really ain't, or they're not as close as they want you to believe. Now, I believe that Terrence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson is really close, but at the same time, they don't have the same trainer. You have to understand, guys that work within the same camp and have the same trainer, there's a bit of a rivalry going on because they feel like, well, getting the best out of the trainer. It's supposed to be buddy, and they all had the same trainer. I don't believe they be as inclined. They don't be as inclined to try to get you to believe that they're really the best of friends. I don't believe that Jamel and Errol Spence is the best of friends, and I never believed that. And I just think now is that it's starting to show. My own personal opinion, I think that Spence should consider fighting Charlo. And they should have that fighting. They should have that fight in Texas. Oh, if you hear anybody, listen, a lot of people listen to my channel. So if you start hearing and calling for that fight from a lot of different boxing content creators, yeah, you know where they got it from. Why not Errol Spence fight Jamel in Texas at Cowboy Stadium? I can tell you right now, if they have that fight, that might be a sellable fight because it'll be in Texas and it'll be in Dallas. And you know, people in Texas are very familiar with the Charlo brothers, so I think that fight, I don't think it should be at Cowboy Stadium. I think they could sell out the American Airlines Arena. I think they could do some decent numbers there, but I don't think Cowboy Stadium, I don't think it would sell that well. I think you still would have like 37,000 maybe, but then again, based off how unpopular Charlo is, you might only have like 25,000 people at a football stadium. At capacity, this stadium holds 100,000 people, so they could fight at the arena where the Mavericks play at. They could try that. But I really do think that should be an option. I really do think they should consider that, because obviously there's some kind of issue with those two guys. And I'm not instigating or nothing like that, but this is factual. This is factual for the most part. But if you wonder why Errol Spence didn't come to the fight, two things. one, Errol wasn't ready to face the public, and then, you know, there's some issues with him and Charlo, and then possibly Derrick James as well. You know, because I can tell you now, Errol Spence, if and when he fights Terrence Crawford and he loses, there's not going to be very much out there for Errol Spence, especially if he gets knocked out. If he gets knocked out again. Because that was just, you know, listen, if Errol Spence had finished on his feet and he just lost a decision, then you could say, well, it's a lot of options out there for Errol Spence, even in a losing effort. But I mean, he got thoroughly dominated from beginning to end. And like I said, I didn't have Errol Spence winning one round. And I know now people trying to say, well, if you look at to half of the third round, that don't even make no kind of sense. At the end of the day, man, stop it. Errol Spence got beat up. He got beat up. Ain't no such thing as winning a half a round. You either win a round or it's an even round. It's not no, well, he was winning half of it. No, well, no. But I'll put it to you this way: Errol Spence displayed more heart than Charlo did. You know, because to me, like I said before, they never really wanted to make the Terrence Crawford fight, because I kept telling you the plan was for Errol Spence to possibly fight Keith Thurman, maybe at, you know, a higher weight class, maybe at some kind of catch weight of 150 something, maybe 152, 153, or maybe full-fledged junior middleweight, then take another touch at 160 and then try to see if they put him in there with Canelo, and that was going to be Errol Spence cash out fight. Keep in mind, Errol Spence was part of the first package deal that they offered Canelo to stay with the PBC after he beat Caleb Plant. And you saw how fake a lot of these people was that's supposed to be boxing pundits that really wanted to see, or claim they wanted to see, Spence versus Crawford. They were sitting up there okay in this fight. Oh, well, you know, Errol Spence weigh his options, you know, and yeah, go fight Canelo. It's a big payday. And this is when I knew that a lot of these dudes on here were just fake. They're fake, man. It's fake. Fake as hell. Extremely fake, man. So I'm just giving you guys like the real on what's like going on behind the scenes. Like I said, I know more than what I'll be saying, because like I said, I have a lot of inside information, you know, and I'll talk to people and all this kind of stuff. Listen, I already knew about the Amazon stuff. I heard this about a year ago. So, you know, while Barber Bitch Conversation sitting up, you know, patting himself on the back, popping his, you know what I'm saying, popping his dirty collar, like he the only one that heard about this. I heard about this over a year ago, that Amazon could possibly be in the works. So, you know, I just wanted to get that out there, because it's kind of irritating, you know, when you have one dude to try to act like they they just the end all be all of inside information, and that's not factual. It's not even close. Knew this for a while. Now, keep in mind, there's been some stories that I broke, you know, before everybody else did, that I knew behind the scenes what was going on. So, you know, but I'm really anxious to see what's gonna happen with this Jamel, Errol Spence, and Derrick James situation. Now, Ryan Garcia has to have that coming up to be a fight that could be in the making. And Bob Arum appeared to be hinting that this fight could take place in February. Now, I don't know if you guys know, Top Rank does have the Mandalay Bay reserved for February. But if Ryan Garcia fights in November, and comes back in February, that would be like a quick turnaround. That would be a very quick turnaround. I mean, you would think Ryan Garcia would at least probably wouldn't want to entertain the idea of fighting until like March, but the fact that the Michelob Ultra Arena, which formerly was known as the Mandalay Bay, is reserved for a February fight by Top Rank. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, it's your boy Tam. I'm out.